Good morning, everyone. Well, Nafta update. Not great news still. Our deadline is October 1st, and that is less than a week away. And we're here, and we still don't have a Nafta deal. So here's a presser from yesterday with Chrystia Freeland.
We just had a meeting with Ambassador Lighthizer and his team. We discussed some tough issues today. The atmosphere continues to be constructive, and we continue to work hard towards a deal, which has always been Canada's objective.
Sorry. And you can check out the rest of the video for yourself. Link will be in the description. But basically, yeah, still no deal. And she left the U.S. Yesterday, so I don't know. I don't know when she's going to see him again, or they're going to chat or whatever. But here's kind of a quick update from their side. Quote, the administration of President Donald Trump has recently begun increasing the pressure on Canada, urging it to conclude a deal by September 30th or face exclusion from a revised North American Free Trade Agreement. And that's different. It used to be October 1st, and they changed it. The Quebec election was scheduled for October 1st, so there was theories out there saying that the Liberals were slow-walking it to minimize the seat loss in that election and then roll out their dairy concessions maybe the same day, maybe? I don't know. I didn't buy into that theory just because it seemed like a really stupid plan, and then I revised that opinion because of who we're speaking about. Yeah, I mean, Trudeau would definitely do that. Okay, back to the article. U.S. Trade Representative Rob Lighthizer said there was some distance between the two sides on issues such as access to Canada's dairy market and how best to settle the trade disputes. The fact is, Canada is not making concessions in areas where we think they're essential, Lighthizer said at the Concordia Summit in New York. Quote, we're going to go ahead with Mexico, he said. If Canada comes along now, that would be the best. If Canada comes along later, then that's what will happen. He added, we're sort of running out of time. So, yeah, we sure are. Here's a quick video of that. It's not the whole thing.
About a new negotiation with the new president of Mexico. So we have an agreement. The way that TPA works, we don't really have any choice. If we push it beyond that day, then we have a new negotiation with Lopez Obrador, and that's we don't know where that would go at all. So we have a good faith negotiation. We have a fabulous outcome, and we're going to go ahead with Mexico. If Canada comes along now, that would be the best. If Canada comes along later, then that's what will happen. We certainly want to have an agreement with Canada, but the people who say we really want an agreement with Canada, I get these two people that say we really want an agreement with Canada. Oh, and don't give on any of these provisions to Canada. Well, I mean, you're in one way or the other about a new negotiation.
So he's saying he's between a bit of a rock and a hard place, but at the same time, we want to deal with Canada. So he's saying very clearly there, I don't think he's mincing words. We want a deal. I mean, they're welcome to be in the deal, and that's pretty much it. You're welcome to join, and if it happens after, then, that's what happens, he says. So, okay. Here's a Financial Post article. Quote, Canada, U.S. in NAFTA stalemate over American demands to boost protection for brand name drugs industry. The generic drug industry says Canadian trade negotiators are fighting hard against the U.S. demands that would potentially cost drug plans tens of millions of dollars a year. Man, I wonder how much, a 10% drop in the Canadian currency would cost everybody. I'm just asking, for some dairy farmer friends of mine. Okay, so here's an article from the Toronto Sun from September 19th. So this is when Doug Ford went down to talk to our NAFTA negotiators. So the title is, quote, Ford presses feds to make NAFTA deal. And I'm just going to read the most important part here right at the bottom. And this is from the congressman last week. In a statement released Tuesday, Majority Whip Scalise, sorry about the pronunciation, guys. The third top Republican lawmaker and Donald Trump fanboy took Canada to task for dragging its feet. Quote, there is growing frustration with many in Congress regarding Canada's negotiating tactics, said Scalise. Canada does not seem to be ready or willing to make the concessions that are necessary for a fair and high standard agreement. And you can read the actual tweet and the thing he said. I did a video on it a few days ago as well. That is tough to argue, back to the article. After more than a year at the table, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau continues to talk as recently as this week, as if negotiations have only just begun and that no deal is better than a bad deal. This hardly represents progress, especially when Mexico has already signed off on the pact and is now waiting to see what transpires with Canada. Ontario's Economic Development Minister, Jim Wilson, who is riding shotgun with Ford in Washington, said one of the reasons they're getting in the faces of our NAFTA negotiators is to make sure the Trudeau's Liberals don't walk away from the table. Quote, "You're hearing all the rumors that we're hearing, that maybe they don't want a deal," said Wilson. "So we're going down there to say you bloody well need to get a deal." Good job. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. So here's an article from the CBC posted on September 19th as well. With congressional deadline looming, Freeland pushes back against calls for swift NAFTA deal. Well, that's kind of crazy. With the U.S. congressional deadline looming, Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland told reporters in Washington today, on September 19th, that the only NAFTA timeline she's working to is the one that will end up delivering the deal Canada wants. Well, what if Canada just wants a deal, Chrystia? What if we just need a deal? Sign the deal. Sign the deal. Another CBC article. For Canada, a bad NAFTA deal is better than no deal at all. Really? I didn't think that CBC would post that, but that was on August 28th. And it says, there are no poison pills left, only bitter pills for Canada to swallow. And that's an opinion piece, but at least they're talking sense. Unlike the Toronto Star, should Canada give up on NAFTA? Yes. An opinion piece that silly. My goodness. If you want to read it yourself, link will be in the description. Chrystia Freeland's not really tweeting about NAFTA too much. Kind of silent on that front. And I wanted to point this out. On August 28th, Trump signed the US-Mexico trade deal. So it was a fairly quick negotiation, and I just went to find when they started. So here's a Toronto Star article that is not loading for some strange reason. Here it is. Toronto Star article saying, quote, Donald Trump says he might negotiate trade deal with Mexico first, Canada later. And that's July 2018. So he started negotiating this deal well after Canada started negotiating this deal. So, and we've been at it for 13 months. And they've been at it for, what, a month and a half? And they got a free trade deal all set up? And we're still sorting it out? That's crazy. So, the Wall Street Journal reports that Trump pursues trade deals in Asia, Europe amid frostiness with China. President Trump has signed a revised free trade pact on Monday with South Korea as he steps up efforts this week to show he can strike new market opening deals and isn't antagonistic to trade. Mr. Trump also hopes by Wednesday to persuade Japan to enter formal bilateral trade talks. He's opening up new markets. He's opening free trade deals with people that have historically not had a close relationship with the United States. Canada has a very close relationship with the United States. So South Korea has a trade deal. Japan's going to enter into trade talks, and I bet you they get a trade deal. And if we don't get a deal done by Friday, I bet you they get a deal before we do. And Mexico has a trade deal. The EU has a trade deal. And trying to find information about this trade deal specifically is like pulling Google's teeth, which is a mixed metaphor that's awful, but I'm going to go with it. It's terrible. You can't find anything about it, but they were threatening aluminum tariffs on the EU, and it was a really big deal. They were making a huge deal about this in June and July, and then Trump struck a free trade deal and said everybody's going to buy tons of soybeans. They tried to make fun of him for it. They're going to buy a lot of soybeans. Yeah, sure. They tried to make fun of him for it, and then everybody just shut up about the free trade deal with the EU. So, I mean, okay, yeah, but he signed a free trade deal with the EU. He avoided a huge trade dispute, repealed the aluminum tariffs, and is dealing with them on a good faith level playing field, in my opinion. Well, in his opinion, I guess. Doesn't matter my opinion. He's the one doing it, right? I'm just telling you. But so he can strike a deal with the EU. He can strike a deal with Japan, and he can offer a deal to Japan, and he can strike a deal with South Korea. He can strike a deal with Mexico, but he can't strike a deal with Canada? What? What is going on? It's gotta be. It's gotta be. If it's not them, maybe it's us. Maybe our negotiating team isn't as cracking on the ball as they think they are? Sign the deal. Ms. Freeland, a bad deal is a deal that will not tank Canada's economy or our dollar. Sign the deal. Sign the deal.